I just rolled in at the summer steer pasture, and it looks like the first thing that I'm going to be doing today is fixing sprinklers. I got to move these guys, and then I'm not really sure where this day is going to go. I've got a lot of things that need to get done, so we'll just kind of see how far we can get. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Today, when I pulled in here, I counted 3 what we kind of refer to as geysers, and that's just a sprinkler head that's been completely broke off and is shooting up into the air like a geyser. The problem with that is that it takes all the pressure off of that line, and then really none of the sprinklers work. So it's not just a problem that you have 3 broken sprinklers, it's that now you really don't have any sprinklers. I'm really wishing I had my little 4-wheeler finished. In fact, maybe once we get done here, I'll go home and finish putting that thing together. I think I've got all the parts I need now, but it would sure be nice to have that up here to be running around doing all this. Well, that's gonna be your problem right there. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. I didn't set the bucket on it, did I? This is kind of crazy. So this is the second time that this has happened, where a sprinkler head is missing and it is nowhere to be found. I understand that if the riser pipe was cracked, that once the system turns on, the pressure could blow the head off, and who knows where it would go. But I mean, I think if I just walk concentric circles outside from the riser pipe, I would find it, which I have done. It's just not here. So my only thought is that the steers maybe get curious and pick those heads up in their mouths and maybe chew on them a little bit and carry them off and drop them somewhere. And I know this sounds crazy, but it's not uncommon to see like calves or even steers chewing on, like if they find a piece of hay twine or if they find a electric fence insulator, it's not uncommon to see them sort of chew on those and carry them around. So I'm starting to think that's what's happening here, because it's really the only explanation that makes sense. So fortunately, I do have some extra sprinkler heads in the bucket here, but man, they're not cheap, and I kind of hate to lose them that way. And then I wonder too if maybe like coons come out here at night and find those and pack them off. I don't know. What do you guys think's happening? Maybe you've dealt with this before. Here's sprinkler number 2, and at least the head is still there. I think it's attached with wire, so nothing's gonna walk off with that. This one will be a little easier to fix. Did I say easier? It's actually a little bit harder. So what's going on with this one is it's broke off kind of low. Well, it wasn't very tall to begin with, so that's kind of a problem too. But what I'll have to do is add like a little stub, and then we'll lift this sprinkler up a little bit. It should actually help it reach out a little bit further, so it might be a good thing. Nah, no problem. Sometimes what happens on these, you get a bunch of this old glue and it runs down the riser, which isn't a problem until you need to glue another coupler on here, and then that glue makes it where it doesn't fit. So you got to kind of come and like shave it with your knife. So we'll glue this here, maybe cut it about there. PVC repair is pretty easy. Just got to have primer and glue. Put primer on everything before you glue it, and glue everything before you put it together, and you'll be fine. But for the small stuff, you can get away with just gluing one side and giving it a little bit of a twist as you put it together. Good time to go ahead and make sure that the nozzle's not plugged. Seems all right to me. All right. She's ready to go. Fixing sprinklers has been the theme over here this year for sure. And I expected to have problems, you know, when we first got here. Oh, there's another little issue. Another thing that happens is you get grass growing up around the sprinkler like that. Doesn't look like it would do anything, but it'll get up in this mechanism and it won't let it work the way it's supposed to. So we'll just rip it off and that fixes that. So dead giveaway if there's a problem when you have big dead spots next to the sprinkler. And I think this one is another grass culprit. Grass is growing up all in the striker, and that's probably what the problem is. Looks like our third, oh no, we've got, wow, there were 4 geysers going here. And I think the pressure on the line was so low that I didn't even see the 4th one, but now that I've walked down here, I can see it. So I've got one here. This one's busted off, but fortunately it's laying right next to the riser pipe. So we'll fix this real quick. Okay, let's go find the last one. What a mess. But I think, well, we've at least got this line fixed. I'm gonna kind of try to look around a little bit while I've got the tools out here, see if they've broken anything else, and then we can get them moved. Walked pretty much most of the pasture. I found a bunch with grass growing up in them. That's not a big deal. And one more broken one right here. All right, all ready to go. They see me messing around over here by the gate and I think they know what's up. So that is sort of a good representation of the progression over here. We went from having to chase them into the next field to then being able to call them into the next field, and now they just see me out here. They know it's time to move. Can I get my camera? Thank you. I think they know where they're going. Come on, boys. They can't help themselves. They got to get a little bite here and there when we're walking through this middle pasture. But so far, the move across here to the back pasture has been pretty good. Come on, boys. Of course, as soon as I say that, they all stop. They kind of know the deal now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, and 10. In fact, they're so good at moving pastures now, it's very difficult for me to get multiple angles with the cameras because they just go so fast. So you just get what you can. This rotation with this amount of steers on this acreage seems to be working really well. So there's 10 steers out here. We just counted them all, so we know they're all there. And this entire pasture is, I think, 14 acres. Divided by 3 is somewhere around, you know, over 4, less than 5 acres per pasture. Each pasture is getting 2 weeks of rest and 1 week of grazing, And I know that kind of goes against what a lot of people say with daily moves, which I believe in, and you guys know that I do that at the home ranch. But this is a little bit of a different scenario, and grazing it like this has seemed to be working really well. And we've come this far, so go ahead and check their water, make sure the float's working good and everything. That's probably the thing that I dislike the most about having a pasture that's too far away to realistically visit every single day, is I worry about things like water. If the float were to quit working, you know, how long are they gonna go without? So far it's not been an issue, and you know, the people that own this property live here, and there are other workers coming and going here, so I think that somebody would probably notice, you know, if there was a problem, because if a water float were to quit working and the trough was empty, likely what the steers would do in their frustration is they would knock it over and push it all around the pasture, and that in itself is pretty noticeable. I guess that is one advantage to having these smaller plastic tanks, is if they're empty, these steers are going to mess with them. And this one is full, got a few branches in here. It's working as it should. We got a couple frogs hanging out here. Everything's good. I got to get a close-up on the frog because my daughter likes those. Last thing to do is check on the salt block, and they've still got plenty of salt, but this is why you check salt blocks, because do you see anything wrong with this block why they may not want to lick it? Yeah, that one ended up in the line of fire, and somebody pooped all over it, and you can see they've kind of been licking around it, but let's go ahead and flip this over so that they don't have that challenge anymore. All right, water, salt, grass, and gates. I think that's everything we need to check on today. Who planted that there? Well, there's one more thing I need to do before I leave, and that is I need to go turn the sprinklers back on and make sure that everything's working well. The glue should have had plenty of time to set by now, but I want to go ahead and check that line now that it's under full pressure, make sure that there are no other nozzles that are plugged or any sort of other problems. I'm out of breath. I'm not used to walking up hills. People wonder why I tend to crawl through gates more often than open them and walk through them, and the reason is pretty simple. It's that you can't forget to close the gate that you never open. I've never had to mess with this irrigation system. Usually the landowners are here and they have turned it on and off for me, but just so happened this time they weren't here. So she sort of explained to me how it all works, and it looks like the sprinklers started. The ones that I wanted to start started. So maybe I did it right, but we'll kind of have to keep an eye on it and see. Looking much better. All right, well, all the ones that we fixed are working. I see that there are still 2 that are plugged. So we'll go ahead and unplug them, which is always a fun job when it's hot because it's pretty tough to do without getting soaked. So you can tell by the big dead spot here that this one's been having problems for a while. Better already. Well, that's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Now we got this guy. See, that's what the other one was supposed to do. That opened right up. Well, today got away from me a little bit. It took me longer at the steer pasture than I expected. I didn't, you never figure on fixing that many sprinklers in the same day, but that's just what we had today. Me and Callie are back here at the home ranch now. We've got to change some water and do a few things here, and then I think we're gonna call it a day. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.